There we go. Okay. Hello, Jose. It's lovely to see you in sunny Spain. I know that you said that that's where you were, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really, really do appreciate it, just particularly as you're on your holidays. So I feel like I'm intruding on your time.
No, you're not.
And I know that you are known to many, many people within the world of spiritualism, and I know some of your history within spiritualism, and I understand that you met a certain Mr. Jacobs in '99. Is that right? They're all.
Yeah. Hi, Kath. Hi, everybody. I couldn't hear your whole sentence, unfortunately.
So you met Paul in '99?
99. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So what were you doing before you came into spiritualism?
Oh, I've done many things in my maybe from I was 18, I started to work on the market, sold second-hand objects, and went to people's houses actually to ask if there was something they wanted to sell.
Okay.
And my father had an antique shop, and so later on I went with my father to houses when he was asked to empty the house because somebody had died. So my father was looking for nice jewelry or paintings or more old, expensive stuff. And I loved it to get a chair and sense the feeling, who was sitting on this chair and what have they done in their life, and oh, this lamp, this must be old, this lamp could tell stories. So actually there my psychic ability started when I was 20. Yeah.
Right. So did you work with your dad?
Yeah. Yeah, my father had one shop here and I had my shop 100 meters down the road.
Okay.
Yeah. So I worked with my father for a couple of years, and yeah, but my interest was very much into the Far East, India. And I wanted to go there when I was 17, but of course my father said, well, you don't have the money and I'm not giving it to you, so you stay here. I would do the same with my daughter when she was 17 years old. So I stayed, and I brought India actually into my life in the sense that in my shop, I had a part where I sold Indian clothes, new ones, and Indian statues and things like that, beside my the second-hand furniture, lamps, statues, anything. Yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah, but I had to wait a couple of years before I could go to India. I had to meet my lovely husband, Carl, and we started a restaurant together, mainly because my cooking was terrible and he likes to eat. So that was a good combination. Yeah. Yeah. So in the center of Amsterdam, really, we had a couple of restaurants. But the first restaurant was mainly where we worked together. And we had somebody who was working in the kitchen, and Carl and me were working and serving the people. And it was like our living room. Yeah. We lived upstairs, but we never were upstairs in the living room. Our living room was downstairs in the restaurant.
Oh, I can imagine that. And to visit.
It was lovely. It was very cozy. Everything was possible. There were people, rich people, coming to eat because everything was possible. Amsterdam. And there were people from the neighborhood and people who just came for a starter, didn't have any money. So everything was, there was no difference really. And everybody enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So there we met some people who lived around the corner, and they had a house in India, in Goa. And they said, why don't you come? And we have a small apartment in the garden, and come and join us. So I thought, yeah, this is my chance. And Carl, he was in love with me. So he said, yes, of course, we come. Yeah. We never sat actually in two different chairs the first 2-3 years. I was always sitting on his lap. And I can imagine he didn't want to miss that.
I can imagine that too. Yes, I can imagine that. So you went to India, and what was your first reaction, Jose?
It felt like this is not the last time. It really felt like the beaches, so beautiful sand, and only locals and a few foreigners, and the fishermen, beautiful sea. It was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And of course, after a couple of days, I had problems because of the food. So I had a fantastic 2 days in my bed. But never mind, I went back many, many times. Yeah, with Carl, with my children, alone. I studied there for a couple of years. Every time I went there, I went to Varanasi, Naras, the holy town, holy city. And I studied palmistry there. So I had a private teacher, which was fantastic. Yeah. And then when I was 18, when I had to shop, I found 2 little books, really small like this, about yoga. And I had to work hard, so I couldn't go to yoga lessons. So I just opened a book and did some exercises in my living room, and did that for a couple of years. And I really enjoyed it. I felt my breath was changing, my life became more in balance when I did some techniques. So when at a certain point we got in contact with a teacher, a yoga teacher in Holland, who just started an academy of yoga, 4-year school of yoga. He invited us to join, which we did.
Yeah.
And I organized several trips to ashrams in India with the yoga school. So that helped me to get to know India in a different way, to get in contact with the staff of the ashrams, because I organized everything. And I went to beautiful places where people lived, the spiritual teachers from a long time ago, who passed already to the spirit world, but their energy was still, and probably is, so strong. I remember I went to one ashram, Ananda Maya Ma, she was called, a beautiful lady. And I was just sitting there and I was crying there for an hour. No reason why, except that something within me was allowed to get out, cleaned, or how you call it. I didn't have to do anything for it. I didn't have to look at what were my problems in my past. But there, in that hour, on that trip, a lot was healed. Yeah.
Wow.
So it stole my heart. Yeah.
Yes.
And it still does. I still love certain spiritual teachers like Ramana Maharshi, who I got in contact with. Let's say, I had some books of his only maybe 8 years ago, but I remember that the yoga teacher, when I was 30 years old, he mentioned something about Ramana Maharshi where he said Ramana Maharshi was somebody you could visit always. So anytime foreigners came, you could walk into his room and he was reading the paper or sit with his peacocks or cows came in. It was a very natural, nobody was different man.
Mm-hmm.
And there were always people who lived there or tourists in that room.
Yeah.
And then one day, one devotee, one student came in and nobody was there, only the teacher. And he said, "Where are the others?" And Ramana said, "There are no others." And that sentence, I was only 30 years old, but that sentence that hit me really in my heart. I couldn't understand it, I couldn't explain it. There are no others, but I knew this will come back one day. Yeah. And so that is a lovely path where you, it's a very direct path where, yeah, for a long time I found spiritualism and the 7 principles. That was really, it helped me so much to understand a lot of things.
Yeah.
But it's not enough for me. Yeah.
I know.
Not
I
enough.
know that you
It's
love
not an,
your yoga, and meditation and yoga has been in your life most, or if not all of your life, hasn't it?
yes, but it's not that I'm doing asanas or any yoga exercises. It's more that I'm always from when I was a child, I had to go to my bedroom, and on top of the staircase there was a little plug and it said, "Change the world, start with yourself." And as a little child of 7, 8 years old, that was also something, it hit me, you know. I thought, when I'm old, or when I'm older, I know I'm going to look within myself and see where I can change, in what I can change, so I feel better in the world.
Yeah.
And that is what Ramana Maharshi really does. It says, of course, we live in a world and we should enjoy it. And if you eat meat or fish or drink, whatever you want, you should do, you do. But realize that if you want to be happy all the time, then you have to look at things which you take to be as the reality and look at it. Is it a reality? Is it a reality? Is there anything which comes and goes? Is that a reality? We all know that yesterday is gone and never will come back, and tomorrow we don't know.
Yeah.
So that never can be the reality. Yeah? It is real at the moment you see it, and that's a problem. We think it's real because we see it. But if we look behind, like in spiritualism, we say, you are spirit. And that helped me a lot because we are spirit. But then all the things around it, it shows in the world that we don't live that we are spirit because we are afraid or we feel miserable or this or that. That's not the real spirit.
No.
And I like to help people to understand that as long as you identify yourself with the physical body or with your mind, with all your points of view, as long as you believe that that is the reality, there will be sadness as well. This is fine. If you don't bother about that, then it's okay. But if you're trying to look for the real spirit, to live it, and so that you can always be happy within yourself. The circumstances are heavy sometimes, but the happiness should always be there to carry you through the difficult times.
Yes.
And
I
that
think
is
for
okay.
some people it's very difficult not to worry. and it's difficult to live in the moment, for the joy of life, and to help, well, make progress in this life. And the worry of what's to come can really pull people back, can't it?
Yes, yes. But there are also many, many people who are searching for that, who am I, really? What is the purpose of my life? And what am I? I'm not a body. I'm not Jose, I'm 65. If that was the case, my goodness, I'm almost gone.
No.
I mean, we all know. We give the message to the people that we don't die.
Yes.
But if we don't die, how can we be born then?
And
if there's no death.
Yes, it's yeah.
If there's no death, then there is no birth.
That's right.
If you see it from the point that you are spirit.
Yeah.
So if you see it from the point that you are spirit, then being born is the body is born.
Mm-hmm.
The body is born within.
Yes.
Everything comes as a little wave of consciousness, a little wave of God, however you want to call it. It's all little waves.
That's a most wonderful way of putting it. I knew I was going to enjoy tonight. So, Jose, I know when you went to Stansted the first time is when you met somebody who became integral into your life, and Carl's too. And I know that you all three think the world of each other. So what difference did Paul make, but what difference did it make to you when you went to the Arthur Findlay College after that? Did you hear all that, Jose? Because you froze outside.
Right. I didn't hear everything you said, but first of all, you said he made a huge difference to your life and Carl's life, and many, many Dutch people, Kev. Yes. Many Dutch people. Yeah, really. He was really one of the first mediums, well, not the first, but one of the first who came to Holland and who came and stayed, and on a very regular base. And the first time I came to Stansted, I had done a little bit on psychic work, a little bit, really only a few mornings. Mm-hmm. And maybe 2 or 3 times I made a contact. And I was, so I was really new. And it was the week of Val Williams. And I think I was one of the youngest. And Paul wasn't there when the introduction was given in the sanctuary. Val said that Paul was coming later that week. Okay. Because there weren't enough students for so many tutors. So Paul and Stephen Upton were sharing a week. Okay. And we could choose in which group we wanted to be. And I thought, well, Val is the course organizer. So I wrote down Val Williams. And I sat down in the lecture room and I looked around me and I thought, I'm really the youngest. I will be marvelous. Well, after that first day, Kev, I felt so small. Because all those elderly people were amazing. They were in spiritualism already for years and years. I had no clue. So I went to Val and I said, please, can I change group? And she said, yes, of course. So I went to Stephen Upton, had 2 days with him for healing. Mm-hmm. And then Paul came. And yeah, I walked into the sanctuary where he was working and smiled at him. And he smiled back. And I think I fell in love immediately. And I just knew this man will be very important in my life.
Yes.
And so I met him only 2 days, and in the bar I asked him, I said, would you like to come to Holland? He said, yes, sure. I said, when? And he said, well, in 1.5 year time. So busy he was. So I went back a few times to England, to Stansted, to be in his class. And then he came to Holland. And then he had his own group in my place, or somewhere else, actually, first somewhere else. And he said, well, do organize a demonstration once a month for me, please. And then you can work as well. So I did. That was my chance to work from the platform next to Paul Jacobs.
Wow.
And every month, Kath, I had another excuse, hopefully, to get out.
It didn't work then.
No, and you know where he lived. You just told me you've been there with your family.
Yes.
I still remember we were in the elevator. He probably doesn't remember, but we were in the elevator on our way to the venue. And I said, I've got such a headache, Paul. Oh, I hardly can breathe. And he said, oh, what a shame. You'll be fine.
Yes, I know.
After that, I gave up. And I thought I'm never going to tell him beforehand. Sorry?
I said, I know that look that he would give you.
Yeah.
Oh dear. So,
yeah.
Your place in Holland, do you still have that place in Holland?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
You still and teaching and
yeah, still. And hopefully with the COVID-19, we can continue next month.
Brilliant.
Because they're really trying to stop it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I know somebody. No, not here. I know one of my old students, my ex-student, not old in age, but he's from Belgium, a lovely guy, and he stopped his normal job. Is now doing a course, has 1 or 2 groups in awareness class. He's doing a lot of sittings, and he had to stop. He lives in Belgium. He had to stop the group work. Mm-hmm. And then the other day, I think yesterday or the day before, I spoke to him, and he said, well, I can continue because I've got those glass walls now in between the students.
Okay.
I'm not going to do that, Kath. I'm too old for that. Not too old in age, but no, I'm not going to do that. No.
It's very difficult.
So it is, but where is it? In Belgium, there are only 5 people allowed to be together in one room. So yeah, how can we work?
Yeah, that's very difficult. Very difficult. So when you started at the college, and then you you accompanied Paul, or Paul accompanied you, and when you worked together, how did you go from attending the college to being a tutor at the college? Because I know you're a tutor at the college.
In those days, you still had what was it called? Accreditation? No, you still had weeks where you could rent a college.
Okay, yes.
Right. So my brother came over with a friend, and when we drove in for a week, and when we drove them back to Stansted Airport, my brother said to Paul, why don't you start a Dutch week? And Paul said, good idea. So we started, or I got the people, of course. Paul didn't know them. I found the people. And then Paul said very soon, I can't remember if it was the first Dutch week or the second, he said, you will be a tutor as well. Because we rented a college, it was possible.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Paul said, now it's time to do the teacher training scheme. And really, Kat, I never had that idea of becoming a medium, working as a full-time medium, or a teacher at home, or a teacher at a college, in particular because of it's not my first tongue. But Paul said, do it. And I trusted Paul, and I think everybody should trust their teacher.
Yeah.
If they feel right, if a teacher makes you feel, okay, this feels right. I don't have to think about it, argument in my mind about it. Of course, we've got to look at the practical side, but beside that, if it feels right in your heart, then you know it's the right teacher.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if I get nervous from a teacher, I know I run away. That's not my teacher. Yeah.
Yes, I think it's fair to say that if you feel confident because your teacher is saying you can do this, then you have to trust that, don't you?
Yes, yeah, 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 and we are the same star sign, Capricorn. I find Paul a very easygoing man. I mean, if somebody tells me I can be myself with you, Jose, then it would be a big compliment.
Yeah.
But I always had that with Paul. Of course, I had my insecurities about my mediumship or about certain things. But in essence, I really felt very comfortable always with Paul.
Yeah.
And I didn't need a lot of compliments. I had a father who didn't give really compliments, so I wasn't used to get them, but I was used to stand on my own feet. My father said, here's the key of that shop. That's yours, run it. We had a restaurant. We never had thought of getting a restaurant. So for me, it fitted very easily. Yeah. And Paul's language, Paul's accent, his English accent is very easy for me to understand.
It's not always easy for English people to understand Paul.
Yeah, that's true. I never had a problem, and I never had, I know.
And I don't mean that in a nasty way, but I know that some people do struggle with Paul's accent. Is that true, Paul?
In the early years, yes, but not so much now.
Right. And I also think if you at the same time sense what Paul says or what somebody else says, then you're on the right level, energy, vibration, frequency, whatever you call it.
Yes, and also is the honesty in which he teaches isn't done for any other reason than to make it easy for the rest of us to understand, which I know that there are a lot of people who get that and understand that. And I think it's better to know what somebody's saying. There's no doubt about what somebody's saying, rather than go away and wonder if they meant this or if they meant that. You know exactly where you stand, don't you?
Yes, exactly. I also remember, so Paul has been a very great spiritual teacher for me as well. Because you can really feel this is his heart. He's not talking about the walk, but he walks the talk. And he lives it. And I remember Paul saying, one of the first times we spoke about Gordon, he said that Gordon was hoping or spoke a lot about that there should be more spiritual centers. in the world. And Paul said, not spiritualist churches, but he particularly said spiritual centers. And I never forgot that, because I thought, what a spiritual teacher Gordon was to, in that time, in that situation, with all the responsibility, to dare to say we need spiritual centers. So I can understand that the two of them were really, really very close. Yeah.
Yeah, like you two are anyway, aren't you?
Only from that sentence always hit me that I thought, yeah, those two understood each other. Yeah.
Yes, they did. And when you first came into it, there were, I don't know if I'm right in this, but I believe there were less mediums in the sense of it being a profession or a means to an ends. And I know that it's not necessarily a great career path to go down, because you know there's lots of pitfalls in it. But would you say that even now the need for spirituality, not necessarily spiritualism or mediumship, but the spirituality is something that we need to explore and teach and share with each other?
I believe so, yes. Yes. But it starts with yourself. I mean, it's not something you can learn from a book.
No. So if students come to you, say, in the first, few weeks of being with you at your centre, what would you be asking them to learn, or what would you be asking them to look at?
We just start with the course. We just start with psychic and psychometry, and slowly mediumship after a couple of days. But in between, sometimes in the feedback or during Q&A, during the day, things will be looked at. I mean, if somebody is afraid to stand on the platform, it doesn't matter if it's for a psychic exercise or a mediumistic, but there is a fear to stand in front of people, then we do take time to, not to go into the history of the person. I don't think that, for me at least, Carl has a different view about it, because he's also regression therapy. So he does separate sessions where he goes back in someone's life, but that's a choice of him and the student that they want that. And I mean, that's fine, that's absolutely fine. For me, it's not interesting to know where somebody is coming from. I rather look at now. Mm-hmm. Is there a fear? Okay, I was always afraid in my class to, when I was young, to talk to the children. If someone says that, I said, yes, but there are no children. You are not 12 years anymore, so there is no reason to be afraid now. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. But now there is no reason to be afraid. I mean, you will not get a certificate, or you will not be thrown out the room, or whatever, It's just a practice where you want to express yourself, and we all will enjoy it. So enjoy the moment. Things like that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everybody does that. But I do have certain days, in particular, from 10 till 5, where we go into this a little bit deeper.
Okay.
Where people can choose to come. It's not, I don't want to push it. If people want to hang on to thinking or believing or being sure that he is a personality and that's it, then okay, fine, I'm not going to spend any energy on that. But if somebody knows I'm spirit, but I can't live it because my personality is in the way, I say, come, let's have a look. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's very easy through a guidance, going within the silence, to get the experience that there is nothing, that there is not a God in a shape or a color or a taste, or there are no objects, there's nothing we are looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Really going within and find that essence, or recognize it. There is no beautiful thing, or it's just silence, it's just happiness. So if they want, we do a whole day, but for the rest we just integrate it in the 3 years.
Yeah. And now that I know that you're away from home at the moment, have you? I know that this year is different, but ordinarily, do you still travel as much as you used to do to teach and go to different countries and work?
I never did that a lot, Kat.
Okay.
I never did that. There have been years. There were years where, as you said, I was always working with Paul, and Paul was working with me, and so there have been years that I was 11 weeks a month at Stansted. 11 weeks a year at Stansted, and then some. That's a lot. It's a lot. I had my family, my children. I had my school. I went a few times. No, I went to Belgium and once to Italy with Paul.
You went to the USA as well?
I think that's it.
No, you went to the USA.
Germany. No, that was for fun.
Sorry? You went to America as well.
What are you saying?
You went to America as well.
Oh yes, of course I did. Yes. Yes, I did. That's true, Paul.
Oh,
that's true. Now you are my guide. Yeah.
So you went to America as well.
Yeah, that was a great experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, with James van Praag and Tony and John Holland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. That's lovely. And so you don't travel as much. I know you're away at the moment, and I know that we can't travel as much as it is at the moment. So when was the last time you went to India, Jose?
Last year.
Last year. And does it still hold that magical feeling for you?
Yes, of course. Yeah, it still feels when I'm there. It still feels like, yes, this is part of me. I would never like to live there, but I feel very comfortable. Yes, very comfortable, and it's hot and it's dirty, but it's beautiful at the same time.
I've never been. It's somewhere I'd like to go, but I've never been yet.
Oh, it's terrible. The pigs, they walk freely and they eat everything, and they even some places are horrible, but it has something within it as well. With if you ask me today, where shall we go? India, or I would say India. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And is there anywhere that you think, oh yes? Because there's lots of spiritual places in our world, isn't there? Is there somewhere that you would like to go to and haven't been to yet, or return to?
Actually, not in particular. It's just I love the country, but for example, the Ramana Maharshi ashram I've never been to because that's in the south. And yeah, there's a beautiful mountain there, very a mountain with yeah. Well, anyway, a particular mountain around it, and it's they call it the holy mountain of Shiva, actually, Shiva. But to be honest, to go somewhere to find something, I don't feel that urge at all. I don't have to go anywhere to find anything. I've had a wonderful time in England. I had a wonderful time with Paul in England. But you can have a wonderful time everywhere, any moment. So no, I couldn't tell you a particular place I would like to go to. No.
Which is lovely, isn't it, when you think back over the places that you've been to. And I know that you've had some wonderful experiences at the college too. And I don't know if you plan to return to the college as a teacher or not. But what was your first impression? You know, when you drive through at the college, what was your first impression, Jose, when you drove on to the grounds of the Arthur Findlay College?
I was excited. I felt at home because it had all those antique carpets, paintings, beautiful faces. It was amazing. I felt really at home. Yeah. Can I tell you a story about the first time I went there? The second time I went there, I took a friend of me there. Paul knows her, Margaret, and she fell in love there with a guy who she's still with. Because they had the Arthur Findlay bedroom 102. Mm-hmm. Beautiful view on the tulip tree. And we arrived on a Saturday, and the course started, we arrived on the, I can't remember, doesn't matter. We arrived, the course didn't start yet, and we had a bottle of wine, and they said, come to our room and we have a glass of wine. So I did, and I was in room 102 with the beautiful bed with the 4 pillars at that time it had, and beautiful cupboards. And I said, wow, that cupboard is of walnut wood, and that cupboard of that, and I really enjoyed that room. The next day there was a demonstration in the sanctuary, and there was a medium I had never heard of, never seen. She wasn't even on our course, Angela McInnes.
Yes.
And I was in the back of the sanctuary, and she said something about father and antique, and if anybody in the back would understand. And my head was like this, red, and I thought, oh my goodness, I've got to raise my hand because this is my father. But with all those people, I was really shy in that time. But I did. And she went on, and she said at a certain moment, your father was with you just a few days ago, where you were in a room and you spoke about antique cupboards and antique table and bed. And I thought, wow, that really was one of the first time I was at Stansted, and it blew my mind, yeah. And he also said in the message, which was really a bit of a fortune telling, which we shouldn't do, but he said, you are going to be a lot in an old building, in old buildings, he said. He didn't say at Stansted, but of course he thought, he never gave that a thought. So later on I thought, my goodness, my father was not only there with me and the day before, but also he said something about the future, working at Stansted.
Yes. Oh, how wonderful. Yeah, she's a lovely lady, Angela is, isn't she?
It was, I think, the only time I've ever seen her. I think I saw her once more, and then I told her, you gave me my first contact from the platform. And she said, oh, great. And she walked on. Of course, that's what we do. But it shows what an impact we have on people, can have, always have, actually.
Yes,
Yeah.
when you came to Longton and you demonstrated with Paul, there was a lady in the congregation who was desperately grieving at that time, and you gave her a contact which changed her way of thinking.
Oh, bless her. That's wonderful.
And you gave her that hope that, and it was a wonderful. If you weren't there, everybody, you missed a corker. It was absolutely wonderful. But I know that what you said to her changed the way that she thought. So that's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what it's all about often. Not always. I mean, there are times where we give a message where it's just lovely, it's fantastic that you hear from someone, but nothing really important is going on in your life. But for her, and for me in that time, it was very important because it showed me immediately that the spirit world exists. And that was necessary for me.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't believe it, but I also never had given it a thought of it, or if they existed or not. So yeah, that was important.
Yes, and I'm going to be nosy now. Have you still got the restaurants?
No.
No.
I'm a very good cook now these days. Apple.
Well, you were explaining to me that you'd got dinner in the fridge ready for when you finished, and the wine's on ice, and you're going to be fine after all of this. So, what do you love doing these days, Jose?
Well, what do I love? To be honest, I'm stepping back a little bit. To the point of big groups, many groups. So I will always work as a medium, there's no doubt. But it will not only be mediumship. My heart goes, really, my passion goes, if I do a sitting, then it quickly goes into, because I feel the need of the recipient, that they need to talk about things in life which they find very difficult to cope with. Yeah. So it goes very quickly into what is the need of the sitter. After having brought back their father, how can I talk with the sitter about how to deal with the now? Yeah. So not with a circumstance, not with do I get a new job or whatever. It doesn't really, it's not my job, but I feel a passion really to make people aware of the spirit within, and to live it, and not having all excuses about I tried it doesn't work, or I will try tomorrow. No, there's only now and nothing else. So you can decide to be happy now, or you can hang on to being still angry with a person, and that's why you can't be happy now.
Yes. Yeah.
So that is what I like. I started in the Corona time. I started with sessions about this, Q&A plus a meditation, getting into that power, getting into the stillness through Zoom. So I do that several times a month, and I will continue that. And I would love to do a few days, just a retreat on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's nothing planned. That just came up the other day.
Okay. Going with the moment.
Exactly.
Yes, you're also walking the talk as well.
Yeah, it's I think if you walk the talk, there's never really a problem with you yourself. Again, the circumstances, yes, there are many people having problems, and if they are family or friends, you feel for them. But to carry their problem is not very handy. It's not very handy. So if you just go with the flow, then things unfold.
Yeah.
In particularly when you get a little bit older. But I love to work with this with younger people as well. Of course, I never met somebody who could give me these guidance. But now we are older. We've got so many experiences. Then you get to a point where we worked so hard for many things. And now I came to a point a couple of years ago where I thought, I don't need to work for anything anymore, really. Because I've done everything in life with a lot of pleasure, but I had to work for it. And I only want to get to know myself better.
Yeah.
And what we are, we don't need to work for, Kath. Because we are.
We just are. And I think what resonates with me also is that when we are working on ourselves and when we're looking deep within ourselves, many people, as you say, put it off. They I'll do this tomorrow and I won't do it today. And as we know, time is not a great healer at all. So why put it off? Why not do it today? Because the best advice we could give ourselves and the best gift that we could give ourselves is to help to heal what's been going on, what may have not been dealt with, isn't it?
Yes. I also, I don't believe, but I know from within that the reason, the message behind the message that the spirit world is there and that our family and friends are living on, the message behind that for me is that they want to show us, that they try to explain every time again and again that living in the spirit world is living in a world of love. No mortgage, no body, nothing, no thoughts where they believe in, which has to do with the past. They show us that they are fine. They sometimes say, I'm sorry, blah, 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 but they're not living in pain or anxiety or any emotion. And I believe, I know the message behind it is that they want to make us aware that that's what it's all about. If they can live there in their essence, if they can live their essence, they're only a thought away. Why can't we live our essence? And I don't hear many people or nobody actually talking about that. That the guides, or how you call them, they are here to tell us, live it. Don't keep it till tomorrow. Don't be sad about yesterday. You are free now. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and again, if you go within, if you sit in that silence, then of course you get a boost because you close your eyes and you sit and you feel that essence, yes. But after you've done that for a certain time, then it's time to do it every second of the day, if possible.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I call Paul and I say, oh, I had another heart attack, or I'm moaning about my mom who's ill, or about myself, or whatever. But we know if we talk about judgment about our physical health or a family subject, we know it's only then when we talk about it, and it's gone after that. And it's seldom that we come back to the same subject, because we know we both live on and on and on, and we don't hang on. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So yes, to certain students I say, you must sit. Sit, sit, sit. I was sitting for many years. Since I'm 18, I'm sitting. And I've been sitting every day almost. And I'm sitting with Scots week after week after week. I'm a sit junkie. People call me the sit junkie or the ego killer. And that's fine. But to certain students, I say, you must sit. And I guide them into beginner's meditation. Which is fine. And to other people, I say, well, you don't have to be so strict. You don't have to sit every day or 4 times a week. Just whenever you feel, sit. And to other people, you don't have to sit anymore. Live it. Of course, I love to sit, but it's just a matter of going within and you're there.
Yeah.
You know, just like when you make a contact with the spirit world, you go within, you touch your spirit, and then you raise your vibration to the spirit world. Well, if you don't want to be with your energy within the spirit world, then you don't have to. But if you used to blend with your spirit, then you are in the same vibration of the spirit world.
Yes.
So you just have to look at all those parts of your personality which keeps you away of being in the now, and you're there. It's not difficult.
Oh, oh.
It's my battery, it's gone.
Oh,
Wait.
okay, okay. Well, that's that. Oh, you there?
I'm back, yeah.
You're back. Thank goodness for that. So when I was going to ask you, when are you going to put all these thoughts and this knowledge and all of your wisdom, when are you going to write a book, Jose?
Well, there is an ex-student of mine. She started a year ago. I gave her a message in the classroom from somebody from the spirit world, and it was about that she was looking forward to write a book. And she looked at me and she said, I wrote a book already. I said, okay, maybe I'm wrong in time, but I checked it again and I said, no. I said, the spirit world is really because of this and that her father gave. It means to me, you are going to write a book. So just keep it in mind. Don't do it because your father said so, but keep it in mind. And a few weeks later, she came to me and she said, I didn't want to say it in front of the whole group, but she says, I'm thinking of writing a book about you. I said, oh. Okay. So the last year we had several meetings, and I was just reading last week the first version, and it turned out, this is very funny, I like that, not to be in particularly a book about me, but it's about her quest, is that the word? Her search through life,
Right.
to herself. And at a certain moment, of course, she comes to the academy, and I'm a big part of her life. So yeah.
That's wonderful. So there will be a book about you then?
Maybe if we continue like this and we still enjoy it in a year's time, then probably it's there. Yeah, maybe not. We both got to feel okay with it.
Yes, of course. But I also feel that the way that you teach and the way that you express your spirit is and I know that we're all different, Jose, but it is unique because you get a sense of what you don't have to always say the words about what you're talking about, but by living it, you are expressing a pure spirit of who you are. So I just think it would be lovely if people could understand that and learn about, really, I know you said you can't learn from within, you have to do it, you have to live it, but also it's good to see someone, and it's nice to know that there are teachers and tutors out there like yourself, like Paul and many others, who are deeply moved by the spirit within and are truthful and honest. And I just think it would be nice to be able to capture that in some way.
Yeah, if it's meant to be, Kat, what I said earlier, you can't live it, you can't learn it from a book. You can only learn it from experiencing it. And if it's meant to be, then the book will be there. I mean, if it's meant to be, then yes, yeah. But at the moment, I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying through the Zoom sessions how many people give feedback that they start to understand it a little bit in the mind, and then we take another step forward. That it's okay to understand certain things in your mind, but you've got to feel it then in your heart, and so step by step, people. It's a long pathway. If you think about it, when you are 50 years old, that at least 45 years you lived by the ideas of the society. I always say we all became part of the society, and that's fine, and I don't want to miss it. But at a certain moment, we started to pay a lot of contribution to be part of that society.
Yes.
And several years ago, when I had my first heart attack, I said to myself, I stop paying contribution so much. And actually, I want to stop it all. I just want to do what I really love. And everything I've done in my life, I don't regret one day. But it's time to move on. I can't live that stress level anymore.
No.
Of so many groups and working so hard as I did with a lot of pleasure. But it's time to move on. Yeah.
I think that when certain things happen in life, it makes you reevaluate what your priorities are, doesn't it? What is important to me in my life now? And what's important today might not have been important yesterday, but it changes all the time, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And although I'm a big talker about you're not a body, we do have it. And so when I have my heart attack, then yes, it's part of it. So if I don't listen to it, then I get another one. So I got another one. And if I don't listen to it and keep on working, I get another one. What do I want? I mean, if that's what I want, fine. If it's not what I want, I should change my life a little bit.
Yeah.
And I have no problems with problems in my physical body, because I've had many. I have many things, but there's nothing which can keep me away from what I am. So if it's physical problems or problems in family or relationships or money problems, whatever, it can never take away what you are.
No.
And that helps hopefully a lot of people to stay connected or get connected again.
Yes, I think you've earned some time off. All the hours you've put in before, all the courses you've done and all the work you've done, I think you've certainly earned a rest. And I'd like to say thank you so much for speaking to me. I'm going to stop from Facebook now, so I'll say good night, Facebook.
Good night, Facebook.
Okay, and I will